Yes! It just snaps into the gears now. Hey guys, it's Luke here and welcome back to another video for a very exciting video because yes, the A45S is back. I'm of course here at EST Performance where this car has been for the past month or so, having probably the most important modification for this car. And that is of course the TCU tune, which has now been done and developed on my car. It's still in the beta phase, so I'm still doing some testing on behalf of EST, and they have of course been doing a lot of testing as they go, but it's now in a state where they can hand the car back to me to do some testing in multiple videos, which you'll be seeing very soon before I bring the car back and we can continue. I will explain that in a moment, but I do need to give you guys a run through about what they've done basically in order to get where we are today, and then it'll be time to hop in and go for a first drive. And I'm so excited because the gearbox has always been something with this car which has kind of let it down, and so I think this is going to be completely transformed, and I'm so excited to be bringing all of this to you. So the main thing we had to do in order to get where we are today is to supply a brand new CPC. Now the CPC is a really weird thing to kind of explain because it doesn't actually do anything when you itemize it to one single thing. However, without it in place, the car wouldn't work. It's a bit of a safety device kind of thing, but a really weird and confusing little device to kind of portray for those of you who don't really know what it is. So we had to get a brand new one of those. Now the one in the car at the moment couldn't be used because of course it is aware of all the limits in place. We had to get a brand new one to then teach it a different way, i.e. the unlimited way. It is still limited, but it's basically had the limits extended so then we can then tune it, etc, etc. So once that was in place, we could then flash in the software which basically adjusts and improves things like shift speed, the rev limiter, and the clutch pressure and things like that as well. Now all of that was done basically for this beta version. It has been tweaked, enhanced slightly, but the aim of really this and to see where we are now is to see just how much the CPC and the TCU has made a difference, because of course we now can tune the car further, i.e. the stage 2 tune on this car will be greatly improved to what it is currently, because it was then done when the TCU was locked. However, we're not going to be doing that just yet, purely because I want to show you just how much of a difference this has made. Because we have now removed the torque limits from the TCU, because they have of course now been risen, we have instantly gained, I think it is 60 Newton meters of torque. So we're running around 650 Newton meters of torque now, and that is with the same map that was done when the TCU was locked. Basically, why it's made more is because those limits have been removed and the car is basically performing in a way which it would like to do, rather than with those limits in place capping it off. We will of course be back in order to explore the power improvements of this, but of course where we're at the moment in the whole program, I suppose you could say, is the beta testing to see how it performs in terms of drivability, how it changes gears, because that's the important thing before we then test the limits for the power. Now some brief numbers for you before we actually do carry on the testing, which I mentioned we'll be carrying on in the next few videos. Some numbers for you. Now, with this car in the state that I dropped the car off in, i.e. 500 horsepower, stage 2 with a locked TCU, I did a 100 to 200 time at Santa Pod of 7.67 seconds. Quite a reasonable time. However, with basically how the car is sat now, with the TCU and the CPC tuned, on a damp day, the car did a 7.24. Now that of course is not by increasing any power at all. So it's still in theory making 499.5 brake horsepower, but it's just making 60 Newton meters of torque more, thanks to the reasons I mentioned just a minute ago. So pretty much nearly half a second knocked off the 100 to 200 just from doing the TCU and the CPC, which is pretty impressive, especially when that 7.24 was done on a day pretty similar to this, i.e. not optimal. This does potentially mean that when we do then go and retune the stage 2 and actually maximize the power that we can do safely from a stage 2, that we could actually see something beginning with 6 on the 100 to 200, which is very, very impressive indeed. Of course, the car looks exactly the same as I dropped it off, because we have literally just done software changes, but this is going to make a huge difference to this car. Even little things like having a raised red line in manual mode, things like that, is really going to change and transform the way that this car feels to drive. Those of you who have driven a 45S, whether it's an A45 or a CLA 45, you will know that the gearbox is just quite sluggish, and I think this is going to be the go-to modification to do on a 45S. There is now a waiting list here at EST for this to be done. Of course, my car has been the development car, and we are getting this done as soon as we can. I've been pestered by multiple people to have this all done and complete, and believe me, I want to get this all finished as soon as we can, and we're getting there. So of course, if you are interested in all of this, then be sure to contact EST Performance using the details in the description, get on the waiting list, and then as soon as this is all done and ready to be sent out to everyone around the world, then you'll be the first to know. But yes, that's what's been done to the car. The team have been working tirelessly on getting it to a state where it's now ready for me to test. And as I'm sure you can imagine, I am very, very much so excited to do that. So I think we'll hop in, get the GoPros all set up, get some heat in the engine, and take this thing for a first drive. And boy, oh boy, this is going to be mega fun. Okay, on the road. Need to get the engine fully warm, but yeah, it is good to have it back, and of course, new and improved as well. Really looking forward to seeing how this thing performs once we're fully up to temp. We can see what it's got, but yeah, this is very exciting. Right, we are up to temp. We're going to get this into manual. There's no hesitation anymore. Yeah, that's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. You can feel the torque as well, definitely. It's good to have this thing back, man. Yeah. Before it would slip. Yes. It's on the button now. It's absolutely on the button. Yes. Yes. It just snaps into the gears now. This is how it should have been from factory, from brand new, because this is absolutely incredible. So yeah, as I mentioned, this is still the beta stage. We have added 0 power to this car compared to what it was when I dropped it off. So it's still running 500 horsepower. It's still running essentially the stage 2, which was developed when the TCU was still locked. It's going to be a massive improvement when we do get round to then opting for power and we do go back and see what this thing can do, because that is one of the plans for the imminent future. I just wanted to get the car back, see how it drove, and obviously bring you this update as well. But the car is back and it performs absolutely amazingly. It's this kind of thing where it's hard to portray how a car feels and how a car drives on camera, but the way that it shifts through the gears now, it gets better the hotter it gets. That's one thing I've found. But like I briefly mentioned just a second ago, the more situations you put this car into, the more it's surprising me, because it makes me remember some of the things which the car or the gearbox did before, like stutter when you do a first gear acceleration out of a junction. Before, it would reach the red line in first so quick that no matter when you upshift, it would still lag, but now it just jumps straight to second, straight to third, straight to fourth. It's unbelievable how much this has transformed the car. Now, seeing as we are still in the beta stage, it is still not quite available for people to buy. Like I said, there is a waiting list which you can get in touch with EST using the details in the description to add yourself to. But basically, I'm going to use it for a little while, just a matter of weeks. We've got Christmas just around the corner, so it'll be just after Christmas where I take the car back to EST. I'll basically leave it with them to see what they can do in terms of power now that the TCU and the CPC is all unlocked and ready. Then as soon as they've got as much power out of it as they safely and reliably can, then I'll get the car back for good, then it'll be done, and then the package will be available for you all to go and grab. It is an absolute game changer though for this platform, because like I've said in previous videos, you watch a video online of an A45S or a CLA 45S, the one downside that always comes up is the gearbox if you're watching like a review of the car, and this absolutely transforms it, completely cancels it out because it is so good now, and is basically the stepping stone we need to make some serious power from this thing. I am so excited now to see where this build is going to go, because we've always been held back by that elephant in the room, the gearbox, and now we've cracked it, we've conquered it, and it's now ready to go basically for some more power, which we'll be doing very soon. But before that, we have some cool videos coming your way testing this car as much as I can. We've got a track day booked. I'm going to get some times out of it as well and see what we can do. But like I said already, we've already knocked half a second pretty much off of the time just from doing the CPC and the TCU, which is crazy. Half a second on 100 to 200 is a big margin. So yeah, it's got a huge amount of potential. I cannot wait to take the car back to EST. But yeah, of course, as I said, if you want to get your name down for this platform, or this package, should I say, then you can follow all the details to EST down in the description. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please do make sure you leave a like and make sure to subscribe for all the adventures still to come.